Hello, welcome to the program Spiritism Inspiring Lives. As we are all learners of Spiritism, those who are open to or feel drawn to, we are today reflecting about the theme Sympathies and Antipathies amongst the Spirits, Eternal Halves. And our focus of reflections will be on us as immortal beings in evolution, spirits created with great love in order for us to learn to love ourselves, to love others. And our perspective of analysis is based on the immortality of the soul, on the theory of reincarnation, because that will help us to look a bit more deeper within ourselves when we try here in a few minutes actually to present some reflection points regarding sympathies and antipathies. So we start with the dictionary, which says that sympathy, which is the dictionary of Philosophia Spirita, we learn that sympathy, colorful and spontaneous feelings that someone experiences in relation to another or something or an idea. While in the dictionary online in Portuguese, we have the definition of sympathy, as it says, attraction that something or someone is able to provoke in another person who has the habit of being very delicate or pleasant, feeling of recognition or consent that is awakened in another person, ability to pay attention to the feelings of another person, affection that makes two or more people stay together. While antipathy, in the same dictionary online in Portuguese, says spontaneous and instinctive aversion, disgust. This aversion, often without apparent reason of being, has roots in other existences, when there was inferior cause of the repulsion of one individual for another. Here we already have some references in relation to the plurality of existence, the diversity of different existence that we are into as we are progressing, evolving as spirits which temporarily are occupying a physical body. For us who are incarnated, that is, in the physical body, we are three-dimensional beings. That is, the spirit, perispirit, or astral body, and the physical body. But we are not the physical body. So our antipathies or sympathies, they do not start in our brain, or emotions, or thoughts. We understand that we are three-dimensional beings, as I just said, a spirit, perispirit, and physical body. So the physical body is the external agent through which we communicate and express ourselves, consciously or unconsciously. But the causes, they are all based on our perispirit. So let's start here navigating within the Spirit's book, which presents the philosophical aspect of Spiritism, and also is a guide of helping us to understand our behavior and how we can change, how we can promote, how we can heal ourselves. As the major objective to be on earth is to learn to respect each other. When we say to learn each other, means to respect each other. So we start to navigate within the Spirit's book, question 291, and I quote, as it says, besides the general sympathy that results from various similarities, are there special affections among the spirits? Yes, just as amongst humans. However, the link that unites the spirits is stronger in the absence of the body, because they are no longer exposed to the vicissitudes of their passions. It is interesting what we learn here. If there special affections amongst spirits, as we started by saying that we are reincarnated spirits expressing ourselves through the physical body, and we can see as humans, as we are in this transitory period on earth, we also have sympathy or antipathy with people, because we are not evolved all in the same level. Yet, I would say we are not evolved yet, because evolution is part of our own growing process. But we haven't learned the same ways of being so far, although we are all learning, and we still all have a lot to learn. But here says also the other aspect, as we understand we will not die, we go through the natural biological death, but we will disincarnate as a spirits, we carry on existing and carry on with our own tendencies, values, or likes or dislikes, sympathies or antipathies with people who are our brothers and sisters in evolution. So it's important to always analyze ourselves and realize with those that perhaps we feel quite estranged, or we may think that they are not friendly with us, it's good to observe what we are thinking and what we are feeling, because that is necessary to learn to discern if the causes lies within our own internal references. Once we can check on our thoughts or feelings or emotions, and if the cause lies within, that we may be promoting antipathies, or we may be feeding and holding on to antipathies throughout different existences, because now that we are in a new body, but we are old souls with our own old tendencies. And sometimes we come together again, starting within the first social group, which is the family, in order for us to address what we weren't able to reintegrate in a healthy, wise way in previous existences. So if there is any antipathy within us in relation to family members, in relation to our social environment, in relation to our work environment, always pay attention. The universe is insisting in bringing the lessons that we need for us to be more creative and choose to heal ourselves from ourselves. When we feel that there is antipathy, independent of the degree of that reality, we are invited to transform that in sympathy, in friendly way, which is through respecting each other. Surely, when we have a strong feeling of antipathy, old experiences that sometimes are very ingrained within us, it is challenging sometimes to be with others in that way. But in the same time, we also are advised that it doesn't demand from us to love those people, but say yes to respect them. So when we start with respect within ourselves, within others, and we choose to change our thoughts always towards the good for everyone, always considering brotherhood, which is the universal code that unites us all one day, and we try to exercise and practice that in the present, we are actually in the right track, let's say. If you carry on here in our team, sympathies and antipathies among the spirits, now we quote on the Spirit's book, question 293, and I quote, "Will two beings who were enemies on earth retain their resentment in the spiritual world? Yes, usually they will understand that their hatred was senseless and is in its motive childish. Only imperfect spirits retain a sort of animosity until they are purified. If it was nothing more than a material interest that they had separated them, they will no longer think about it, no matter how little dismaterialized they are. If there is no antipathy between them, and if the cause of their dissension no longer exists, they can meet each other again with pleasure." Enemies, we still are in such a, let's say, low sphere of lack of self-love, lack of self-respect. We still are so needy, spiritually speaking, that we see the enemies outside us. As more we advance in going deeper within ourselves through understanding the natural laws in the universe, which guides us all, we will come sooner or later to understand that actually the major enemies lies within us, which are called pride, selfishness, vanity, greed, rebelliousness, all these shortcomings, all these shadows that we bring within us, surely in the state of evolution where we are, it would be foolish to consider that everyone would like us, that everyone goes along the way that we think and feel. That is not possible. But what is possible is to respect each other, even those who may be going in the right track, or even those who may be against us, or even us who may be against others, as long as we choose to take the responsibility for our own causes of distortion, or on internal lies, or on limitations, and we choose freely now to expand our consciousness so that we, as immortal beings, understand that we will always be the company of ourselves, either in the flesh, expressing ourselves through the physical body, or once that cycle closes, we carry on our life as a spirits, and we will be with the same tendencies that we carry, and connected with the same people, because the only things that frees us from each other is love. And the love starts by exercise and respect. When I say free, when I say free, I mean that we become independent from each other, which does not mean that we become indifferent, that we learn to relate ourselves with others through the differences, different understandings, through respect. That is possible to happen. Because if we hate someone, or if we think that someone is our enemy and we run away, we physically can do that once we are in the physical body. We can even move to a different country and we can do different things. I don't want to look at the eyes of that person anymore because I hate it. I don't like that. We can do that while we are in the physical body, but it is an illusion. When our team today is reflecting about sympathy and antipathy of the spirits, on the spiritual level, in the spiritual world, we will carry on hating each other. And that is the cause of many pains that we bring to our existences. So it's important that we always consider each individual case in each relationship, because surely there may also be experiences at certain moments that it requires that we stay a bit distant physically, but never emotionally. That needs to be promoted within us. We will carry on with our own emotional dimension. So respecting each other, training our minds in fraternity, solidarity, brotherhood, forgiveness. It is a training. The same way that we go to the gym to train our physical body, our mind also needs to be trained towards goodness, and understanding that each practice, exercise in training our minds towards goodness, that means that we are fortifying the muscle of our ethics and morals, which impacts our consciousness in a positive, constructive way, where we are building our inner peace, where we are building our inner harmony, where we are really promoting integral health, where we are promoting relative happiness, which is possible for every and each one of us on earth. As we carry on here, then in the Spirit's book, is still, as we are in question 294, I quote, "Is the remembrance of the wrongs that two individuals have committed against each other an obstacle for their sympathy? Yes, it makes them keep their distance from each other." So here again, it is important to realize that even when we free ourselves from the physical body, we cannot, that does not mean that we can forget the hard feelings, that we forget our own thoughts, because they are impregnated, they are part of us, they are impregnated in the perispirit. So it is important that we may always considering looking within ourselves. How do I think and feel in relation to each soul, in relation to each being where we are relating currently with? Always starting within the family, because this is the first let's say, social group where we are engaging, where we can change, where we can learn from, because we are all learners, we all have shortcomings, and we all have elements, either in the family, in the work setting, in the community, that we are meeting as old souls with old problems to be solved in the present. So remember, elements within us which communicate antipathies in relation, signals of antipathy in relation to other beings, the present is offering the opportunity for us to transform that in sympathies, which is going through changing, first understanding the process, how we evolve, how we relate with us, how we relate with others, because the other is always the mirror of ourselves, so that we can also choose in a kind way to promote us, so as in a more creative way, freely choosing to educate our minds in the constant practice of goodness. We are not losing anything. We are not losing power when we choose love to restructure ourselves and to heal ourselves. Actually, in that way, we are becoming really stronger on the self level onwards. And whatever we train, whatever we practice, that is part or becomes part of us, and no one can take that away from us. Now, in the question 295, is still in the Spirit's book, and I quote, "What feeling animates after death those whom we have done wrong in this world, in this existence? If they are good, they forgive you according to your repentance. If they are evil, they may hold on to their resentment at the times even pursue you in another existence, and God can allow this as a reprimand." This is a very important question for us, dear friends, because again, as we start our reflections here, we will not die. The biological body dies as a natural phenomenon of evolution, but we as spirits, we carry on alive. So feelings that animates us today as we are in the flesh, it will carry on after this existence. And also feelings that animate us today could be already feelings from previous existences. So if we have feelings of hatred, of vengeance, of anger towards anyone, let's start to heal ourselves. We deserve that for us. We can do that. We just need to elude the ego, because our egoistic state of mind tends to not allow these internal processes of progress. But when we connect with the essence, the self, the divine within, no one can hold us back. Neither our old self, that is, our old tendencies. It requires courage, it's true. But again, we are here to learn, to empower ourselves. But the real power, not the power to dominate others, because that is the evidence that we don't have control over ourselves, that we are not in control of our lives, that sometimes we are unconscious, that sometimes we don't even know what we are thinking, what we are feeling, and that goes projected on others. So any hard feelings that we have, as I mentioned, we always still have shortcomings, we all have shadows, imperfections. Let's choose to have ownership of them and freely, gradually, persistently to re-educate as a free choice now that I choose to think in a constructive way, in a way that I will gradually educate myself in perceiving everyone as brothers and sisters in humanity. In other ways, seeing people as spirits, as immortal beings, beyond the transitory positions, and promoting the all internal inner peace while we are on earth. Also, if we are really fighting with each other, controlling other people, full of anger, and vomiting that out, well, we will all free ourselves from the physical body, and guess what? We will still be connected with those people, with those spirits, with those souls. The only thing that helps us to free from each other, it is promoting self-love, self-respect, dignity. And also in the same way, respecting other people, even when we see that they have behaved bad towards us, give them the right to be the best that they can, but have the duty within ourselves to be better than we were up to today. So always investing in our inner promotion. When it says that God allows that, because the laws of God, which are the natural laws in the universe, they are summarized in the law of love. So God allows us to use our free will, even if it is to harm us temporarily. And then we choose to learn and grow through pain. But that is a secondary choice of us. We can choose to learn and evolve and grow, promoting us through the law of love. Moving on, he is still in the Spirit's book, question 296, and I quote, "Are susceptible to change the individual affections of spirits? No, because they cannot be mistaken about each other. They can no longer deceive each other. They no longer wear the mask behind which hypocrites hide themselves, and that is why their affections are unchangeable when they are pure spirits. The love that unites them is a source of supreme bliss." So here, whatever everyone, as the human being that is as a soul, as a spirit, promotes in goodness, that will never allow us to go back to our primitive stages of minds or our primitive tendencies. We keep on progressing, we keep on evolving. And as we are progressing and enlightening ourselves in the growing process of new understandings, new elaborations, new decisions, naturally, we will be more united towards each other through the law of goodness. We will be careful not to harm ourselves and not to harm others. Each time when we hate others, we are harming ourselves. Each time that we may be intending, even mentally, to be vengeful, we are hurting ourselves. And that is not good for us, neither now as we are in this existence, neither later on, because later on we will face again the same beings which are walking, and we need to walk with them so that we choose now to promote ourselves and overthink. There was the law of love that governs us all. Antipathies in our existences, as I mentioned and I repeat, the universe is insisting, presenting them again, as we need to be with those beings in order to develop sympathies, which is to develop good thoughts, thoughts that we essentially are all beings of love. We essentially are all beings of goodness, although we have limitations, but we are not the limitations. The limitations are transitory experience, mainly, quite often, reference to our ignorance. And as we are enlightening ourselves, that means enlightening our ignorance, we move on from that. Question 338 in the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, I quote, "Can two spirits who are now friendly to each other stop being so? Certainly, if one of them is lazy." I love this question, because think with me. If we are together now as friends, as partners, as siblings or co-workers, in whatever relationship, we are okay. But it says, now friendly to each other, stop being so? Yes. Why is that? Because we all are in tests in terms of eliminating or transforming our own shortcomings, which will emerge in our consciousness sooner or later. So in case I'm relating with someone, we are going along very well, we are very friendly and everything, so on, suddenly something may come up. And then it depends what I do with that. If I say, well, I really don't want to work on this now, I really don't want to forgive, I really don't want to face that person anymore, that means that I'm lazy in my growing journey, spiritually speaking. I'm lazy because I'm preferring that my egoistic state of mind predominates, and the other person maybe forgiving myself, maybe trying to sustain the friendship, but I say, no, I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear from you. So the other one who tries to promote the goodness is evolving, and I, for a while, depending on me, I will be sitting back. I will be delaying my option of also challenging my shortcomings. Bear in mind that challenging our shortcomings or our shadows is part of communicating with us in a different way. It is acknowledging them, but it's not validating them. It's choosing to grow. Moving on in the next reflection, question 297, and I quote, does the affection that two beings had for each other on earth always continue in the spiritual world? Yes, of course. If it is based on true sympathy, pay attention to that. If it's based on true sympathy. However, if physical attraction has had more influence than sympathy, it will cease with the cause. Affections amongst the spirits are more solid and lasting than on earth because they are not subjected to the whims of material interest and self-centeredness. This is a very important question. Does affection, do we continue connected to each other once we disincarnate, as we don't die? Well, yes. But remember, sympathy is only possible to continue in our existence in the present and afterwards in the spiritual world and later on to the new and other existences if it is based on true sympathy. That means honesty, sincerity, not based on personal interests. Because whatever comes from the ego, that will stay. That will not unite us forever towards the dimensions of goodness. Because if I choose not to forgive, as I mentioned, if I choose to hate others, if I choose to gossip and slander about others, if I choose to be dishonest, well, that is not a sympathy reference within me. Then I need to address that. Always bear in mind, whatever is attached to the body, quite often it stays here once the body comes to the closing process, through the disincarnation process. But what belongs to the soul, what relates to our psychic level, what we promote, what we learn, what we build within ourselves, that is what we take with us. This is so important on a daily basis. Always bear in mind, wherever we are and with who we are, let's analyze our thoughts. Let's analyze our emotions. They belong to us. That is part of our inner world. And we are here on the school earth in order to heal ourselves. It's not from others. It is from ourselves in relation to others. It is fundamental to consider that. Still, if you move on in these brief reflections, question 298 in the Spirit's book, and I quote, are souls who must get together predestined for such a union from their origin? And thus each one of us have, in some part of the universe, or other half, whom we will someday inevitably join? Where is my other half, we can ask. No, there is no particular and predestined union between two souls. Unity exists among all spirits, but in different degrees, according to the order they occupy, that is, according to their degree of purification. The greater the purification, the more united they are. All the ills of humankind are born from discord. A concord gives rise to complete happiness. So we can think, I am waiting for my other half to complete myself. If so, here we learn that does not exist. So really, there are no two souls to complete each other, because we, in our journey of evolution, growing from within, maturing from within, healing from within, we will complete ourselves as we realize our own limitations, our own shortcomings, our own ignorance, and be enlightened through new wisdom that we are conquering, that we are completing ourselves. It's very important. If we are very needy, we may have references that we wish to have a partner. We are demanding from friends, from family, whoever it is, that he should love us. But the real lesson in terms of love, as we mature, only us can nourish our emotional dimension. Why is that? Because we have been created by God, simple and ignorant, in a unique way. There are no copy and paste. There are no other halves around that complete us. We are completing ourselves as more as we nourish ourselves, as more as we grow in goodness, as more as we grow in honesty, sincerity, as more as we learn to silence our own shortcomings and we re-edit it in the internal silence, as more as we learn to be more cooperative in helping good projects in the world, as more as we help our neighbors, as more as we learn to get out of the needy part and become givers in the universe, in the world where we are. In that way, we are working willingly in developing concord. And in that way, we are also indirectly or directly promoting real happiness that comes from within and not outside. Moving on in the question 301. Are two friendly spirits complement of each other, or is the existing sympathy between them a result of perfect identity? It's just complementing what I just said. Just listen. The sympathy that attracts one spirit to another results from the perfect agreement of their tendencies and instincts. If one had to complete the other, it would lose its individuality. And that is not possible. That is not possible. We are unique beings in the universe, although we are social beings, but the individuality is our uniqueness. And whatever I'm missing right now, let's say if I'm needy, if I'm very demanding that others need to love me, I need to analyze myself. I need to learn to mother myself. I need to learn to father myself. I need to learn to be with myself and offer to me what I perhaps demand from others. We cannot evolve for another person. Other people cannot evolve for us. Individually or individuality, the evolution of our individuality is the consequence of our own efforts that we promote ourselves. Although we are social beings and we learn from each other in the social environment, learning to cooperate, and we can learn a lot from others, even the mistakes from others, so that we don't do that. We can learn from others what they are doing right, and we can also train ourselves. But the internal movement that is unique is down to us. We have great power that we bring within us, which still needs to be stimulated quite often. Let's invest on a daily basis, bit by bit, little by little, so that we develop the belief system that we actually, yes, can change for better. We can improve. We can qualify our mentality. We can qualify our emotions. We can become better beings. First for ourselves, second for all of those who are around us, building a better family relationship, building a better social environment while we are on earth. This is cause of real happiness that is possible for us as we choose to be more forgiving. Perhaps we choose to be more simple in our hearts so that we have less resistance on the ego-centered level, that we communicate internally and choose freely the pathway of self-love and love others and love our existences. So in that way, we become more, we develop more sympathy amongst us. And also that is a cause of being more in peace with ourselves and cooperating for the peace in the world. In that way, we are coming to our brief reflections today. I do wish you much peace and I hope to see you soon. Take care.